According to Iran, the era of hit and run is over. Any act of madness will now be met with a seismic response that goes beyond established rules and boundaries. Iran is said to have carried out strikes of far greater intensity than its usual operations, targeting American bases in Kuwait and Bahrain. Despite various attempts to keep the damage caused by these attacks under wraps, the Kuwaiti authorities were simply unable to obscure the full extent of the missiles that struck the country's international airport. This resulted in significant material damage, numerous injuries, and at least one individual tragically losing their life. But there is an even more worrying factor that is currently capturing the world's attention: the specific way in which events have unfolded between Iran and the United States. And it is precisely this point that we intend to examine in depth in this video conference. Because if Iran decides to proceed in this way, to continue down this path, then this status quo cannot last for long, because there cannot be a status quo when faced with facts. Ladies and gentlemen, let us delve deeper to provide the details. But before we go any deeper, share this video so that those who haven't subscribed yet can also benefit from this information. And if you're not yet part of the community, now's the time to click the button and follow to join your community. Let's get started. What do the sources say? Here's how the events unfolded. American forces struck an Iranian oil tanker near the Strait of Hormuz using an aerial projectile. The Americans considered that the Iranian vessel, which was attempting to return to Iran, was violating the American blockade. So they hit the shit. A commercial vessel. In immediate retaliation, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy struck the commercial vessel named the Parnaya, which was presented as belonging to the United States of America. The Americans struck an Iranian civilian ship, and in response, the Iranians did exactly the same. And the United States were not pleased. Yes, the United States then carried out a second act of aggression, targeting a communications tower by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps to the south of Kashmir Island, using aerial projectiles. And in retaliation, the Aerospace Force Division of the Revolutionary Guard Corps successfully struck a United States military airbase and a strategic helicopter base located in a country within the region. I suppose it concerns Kuwait, as well as the headquarters of the United States Navy's Fifth Fleet, using a combination of missiles and drones. So they specifically struck bases located in Kuwait. And in Bahrain, in response to the American attack, therein lies the dilemma. The United States considers an Iranian ship, yes, to be in violation of the American blockade. That is to say, the Americans are preventing Iranian ships from reaching Iranian ports. That's what it's all about. So by striking an Iranian ship that was trying to reach one of the country's ports, they have stolen Iranian interests. And in response, Iran did the same. And the United States were not happy that Iran responded directly in an asymmetrical manner. That's what it's all about. Yes, because the United States do not have the right to strike Iranian ships. Their blockade is illegal under international law. And the United States have a lot of ships near Iran. Now, this is the new rule for Iran. You strike a ship belonging to Iran, we will do the same. And that's why the situation is going to become extremely difficult. Because the United States cannot accept Iran striking ships belonging to the United States in retaliation. Every time the United States strike a ship, otherwise the blockade will be pointless. Whereas for now, the United States only have this blockade to put pressure on Iran. The United States only have this blockade to show the world that they haven't lost everything. And if Iran, every time the United States targets an Iranian ship, does the same in return, then the situation's going to become extremely difficult. And above all, the significant attack that took place last night, the attack carried out by Iran, is on a much larger scale compared to its previous operations we have seen recently. Iran has started to demonstrate that it is becoming far more serious. And again, this is a sign of escalating tensions, because the United States are targeting objectives in Iran. Iran is responding. But now the Iranians have decided to go a bit further. They didn't just target a single base, they targeted 2 bases in 2 different countries. That's what it's all about. So Iran has already come to the full realization that the current strategy of limited military action is entirely futile and ineffective. So if the United States strike a target in Iran, Iran will be forced to go a bit further. They said they intercepted the missiles. If it weren't for the missile that landed at Kuwait airport, they would have said that all the missiles and drones were intercepted. But since the missiles struck a civilian target, the damage can't be hidden. That's what it's all about. And in a statement, the Revolutionary Guards have issued a reminder that warnings had already been issued previously, explicitly stating the fact that any repeated acts of aggression would inevitably lead to a significantly different and much harsher response. Yes, and they have now taken the necessary actions in accordance with those warnings. That's what it's all about. These responses should serve as a lesson, the statement concluded. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps reiterated. Its warning was delivered in direct, uncompromising terms. The security of the 2-3 Ramos will cost the American army dearly. Abressa. It's a strong message, a message backed up by actions. That's what it's all about. Iran is not Lebanon. If Israel can reach an agreement of this sort with Lebanon, while still, yes, striking the country, that cannot happen in Iran. The United States cannot reach an agreement of this sort with Iran, while still, yes, striking the country. That's what it's all about. That is precisely why the present state of affairs is merely a short-term measure. Perhaps the United States is endeavouring as best as they can, yes, to maintain this specific arrangement, yes, right up until the very conclusion of the Nations World Cup. That's what it's all about. Perhaps after the Nations World Cup, if by then there is still no agreement, or perhaps even before the end of the Nations World Cup, the United States will be forced to resume hostilities. Because the problem now is that Iran has no trust in Trump. They have no trust at all. Negotiations can move forward, but with a great deal of mistrust. The Iranians will not agree to give something to Trump that they will later regret, because they do not trust Trump. Concessions can be made, such as the immediate dilution of their uranium stockpile. But afterwards, Trump could come back and impose sanctions against Iran. So even the dilution of their uranium stockpile. If Iran agrees to dilute its uranium stockpile, it'll take months, perhaps even years. Yes, because once Iran has diluted its uranium stockpile, the United States could easily withdraw from the agreement they would have signed. That's what it's all about. That's the problem. And what's more, the United States doesn't really want to reach an agreement. They want to see Iran capitulate, even though they haven't achieved their military objectives. You can't fail in a conflict and in negotiations, then come and impose, yes, your will. It doesn't work like that.